Well, so today episode, we're going to be talking about evaluating your technology partners. So obviously I've brought one of our customers on, Lead Healthstaff, Kyle, their Chief Operating Officer, and Adam, their Director of Digital Operations. They're going to be telling us from their perspective what their technology partners mean to them. Lead, let's do a little shout out here they made the list of the top 5 of SIA's fastest growing staffing firms. It's huge. I've said it again, but I'm going to say it again. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, first off, maybe tell us a little bit about Lead. So how long have you guys been around for? What kind of placements do you do?
Yeah, so Lead's been around for a little over 10 years now. And in its inception, it was a per diem shop. So 100% per diem staffing, all in the greater Los Angeles area, so Southern California. That's the organization's bread and butter, and that's what generated revenue for most of its existence. We got into the travel nurse staffing space 4 or 5 years ago. And pretty much exclusively do that now. We still have some per diem partners, but really that's, I guess, more of a function of the market and the pandemic that for us was driving the focus on travel. And I do believe we will have a return to doing some per diem in the near future, as that things kind of normalize again, maybe in the next couple of years.
There we go. We talked a little bit about your growth there. Can you tell us a little bit about what that's been like for you guys, and what do you see as the biggest contributors to that success?
Honestly, for me, I just put my head down and get the job done. I love the work that I do here. I love the people that I work with, and there was never like a focus on how fast can we grow this thing. So honestly, I was just very humbled and very excited to receive that award. That was a great recognition for really what we see as just trying to provide value, trying to make a positive impact on the heroes of the patient care story. That's the reason that we're all together each and every day here at Lead Healthstaff. And if I was to try and articulate some contributors to that success, first and foremost, everything goes to the team. We have a group of phenomenal professionals that work just tremendously hard day in and day out to really make that positive impact and to support these clinicians that are working so hard through just a very, very challenging time in their careers. Just the personalities that we have here are people that are excited about supporting one another. So it's a group that really has come together. It's been challenging as we've really been growing so fast. When you do that, there are some growing pains. So first, it's about the team. It's about the community of people that we work with here. And then second, there's been what I see as an inflection in the market that is a drive towards transparency. And this transparency is all about, what's the weekly pay? Where exactly is the job? What are all the details? And there's a history within travel staffing where that was kept very close to the vest, right? Well, if you want this information, you got to get on the phone with a recruiter. If you've got to give us X, Y, and Z before we start really talking about jobs. And what we've done is we've worked very hard to have real time, as close to 100% accurate job data out there on the market each and every day. And through that, knowing that it's transparent, we've made some decisions on what margins that we think are appropriate to run and grow our business, so that we can be very competitive. And in doing so, we've just had a very positive response to the people that have been really, really looking for this transparency and to be able to find it on the various platforms that we're using with the accuracy and the speed that we're able to get our job data out there into the world.
Nice. How do you see the role of technology in helping you manage your growth?
Oh, man. I think a lot like the team, right? They pretty much go hand in hand. We need to have the technology and the team. I think it's definitely a symbiotic relationship in that regard. But for us, we've tried our best to stay lean as we've grown, and that could be a bit of a challenge at times. But we've tried our best to augment parts of the process that we can with technology, and obviously leave the parts to our amazing team that we'd love to have our team continue to do, right? But make sure that communication is there to find out from them what they prefer, what they like, what they don't like. But to me, I see both of those working really together in order for our operation to be as successful as it has been.
Yeah. I think that the technology is the differentiator, really. It's for us, when I came here about 18 months ago, it was just an opportunity to do a complete rebuild of all the systems and all the processes that we had in place, which is very exciting and also kind of unusual for an organization that's been around for 10 years, right? You can, at that point, be very, very deep in your commitment to the products that you're using and the systems that you have, which makes, I guess, a very costly barrier to entry if you want to make any changes. So we were very fortunate that Levin, our CEO, was just all for it. Said, "Hey, let's do it. Let's make these changes. Let's go for it. Let's see what's out there," and to be able to build something and all knowing that I need to be able to have everything communicate and everything needs to plug in so that I can have seamless data flow from all the VMSs where the jobs come all the way out to the clinicians where they receive those jobs, and have a great source of data and information for my recruiters so they can easily and effectively do the job. And that's, it's easier said than done in a lot of ways. I mean, there are so many decisions that have to be made to ensure that these systems can all communicate with each other effectively. And that just, I guess, took a lot of foresight and trial and error, right? We're still learning a lot, and I intend to make a lot of mistakes before I'm done here, but it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, like you said, like one big puzzle piece you have to kind of figure out, and you're bound to make some mistakes along the way, but you guys, I feel like you spend enough time with your people and you have what you like about your technology partners, like that'll help you along the way.
Well, it's interesting. We are taking a different approach than I think most other companies do in this regard. I think traditionally most companies have always decided on a process, right, that they wanted to follow, and then they find the right technology to fit into that process. And we've tried to do things a little bit differently, which is come up with a process, find partners that fit in there, but then, be willing to make some compromises here and there to make sure that everything fits together instead of being so rigid. So it takes a lot of whiteboarding sessions, right, to come out and find out what the true purpose of the need for that technology is, why we want that technology in place, and then make sure we're getting to the same end goal. The process just may need a tweaking here and there along the way to make it work. But I think that's made a huge difference in us being able to have so many awesome partners and have everybody play so nicely together, not to mention the absolutely clean database thanks to Kyle and Levin.
Can you talk to me a little bit about like the process that you guys have implemented technology in?
Sure.
Sure, absolutely. With respect to the recruitment side?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I guess what's important to us is that the inbound leads that we get, that first that they come as qualified as they possibly can. So how can we do that initial screening so that anybody that's getting connected with a recruiter is as close to a good fit for that job that they applied to, or the jobs that are in our pipeline that we see on a regular basis, and that candidate can get directly into our ATS without any human intervention, right? So, in growing up in the game, if I got a lead, I had to manually add that lead, right? Or maybe use a parser, but, parsers aren't perfect. So there's, pieces of data that are missing. So that front end piece of the funnel where we're able to, screen candidates and then push them automatically into the system and then help get them to the right recruiter at the right time is about speed. It's about being able to connect with that person when they're interested, when they're there, when they're ready. In order for that to work, the crucial elements of our process are that the jobs that come from the various VMS platforms that are disorganized and not uniform, that we painstakingly wrote code and if-then statements to make that information meaningful, so that when it flows from the source into our system and then out to the various job boards, that data is as close to accurate and as close to meaningful as it possibly can be. And that just took an enormous amount of effort to basically say we're committed to that. And we're committed to the quality of our job data, and we need to have the right people in place that can do that. That's what I would say on just without continuing to rant on a process for a very long time. Yeah, Adam, anything you want to
No,
know?
I think that's really the important part is the data, right? It seems simple, but it's actually incredibly complex, and it takes a lot of thought to think about, to try and have as much foresight as you can, right? To plan for the future, to not get ourselves into a corner, which inadvertently we will do from time to time, like anybody does. We're bound to make mistakes, but hopefully we can put some things in place so that things can be reversed and changed. And we've always had that mindset of being able to adapt when necessary, but not just the jobs data, but also the candidate data as well, just being clean. And that's goes back to our team doing such a great job of building those relationships, of finding out really what makes their clinicians tick, or what their desires are, what their professional goals are, and getting as much of that data into the system in a clean and meaningful way as possible, so that we can then use it and use technology in a meaningful way.
Yeah, I love that. One thing I would add to it is that what Adam touched on is that the recruiter, the core role of the recruiter, is about making that relationship. It's about really having that human connection and understanding that individual and what is it that they really want. What are their motivations for travel, whatever they may be. We need to make sure that we're understanding that. And the role of recruiter is not an administrative position. Right? The recruiter does not need to understand, like, oh, well, this job came from there, so it actually needs this. And I don't want them spending an enormous amount of time like on the phone collecting references or building profiles. Like if I can find technology that can allow us to automate those processes to free up time, then they can continue to do their core responsibility, which is making relationships, providing value to those clinicians.
Right. And we did talk about, I mentioned at the beginning that you guys were a client of ours. So, and I think that mobile apps are actually like top of mind for a lot of people right now. So why did you guys choose to go with a platform like Time Saved, like, and give that access to your team?
It's the future, man. It's like, I don't see any way around it. The platform is crucial. I mean, for me, the app is the platform. It's another way to get the clinicians connected with our job flow. It's going to provide so much opportunity for them to communicate with the organization by applying to jobs, chatting with their recruiter, being able to, store their documentation, have access to do credentialing, just another venue for that. It's just been, in my mind, it's just the way the market is going. It's like if you look at how the world consumes, and we're all consumers, when you want to acquire something, what do? Well, you pull your cell phone out of your pocket and you start doing the research on your own. Set your own search parameters. You look and compare products and prices, and then you place an order. And you don't generally talk to anybody when you do that. Now, you can, and of course, I want my staff to be available to talk to people when they have questions or issues arise, but we need to be able to have a self-service, and that transparency piece flows right into this. So they don't have to call and ask anybody, what's my pay package going to be? It's going to be right there in the app. And if this is what you want, okay, you want to apply for that job? These are the credentialing items that you need. And if you provide those credentialing items, that job could be yours. Do you want to talk to anybody about it? Obviously there's some other pieces of the puzzle, your start date, the duration, time off, the things that are typical to our market space. But for me, that's just so important that we can offer that.
Great answer.
I don't have too much to add to that other than the fact that
I know. I was like, I know you guys have very specific things you look for when you guys are evaluating your tech partners. So what is that? What is it that you look for and why?
I mean, there's some basic things, right, that are kind of the barrier to entry, I guess you could say, or the cost of entry, which is obviously they need to play nicely in the sandbox with our other partners. They need to play nicely in the sandbox with Bullhorn and APIs. But, it's about people like anything else. We want to make sure that we're working with the right kind of people that have similar values to us, that have a similar trajectory or hopeful trajectory for their company as ours. Now, obviously in a completely different space, but we like to find companies that are a little bit younger, that are hungry, that are looking to not do everything that's been done before, but actually do something different. And in order to do something different, you have to be agile, you have to be malleable. And so we're looking for partners that are willing to do that. And we are comfortable having technology that is, we start to kind of build on, right? So maybe we do it in kind of these iterative steps. So maybe the first stage one of the technology rolling out, we know is going to be kind of a great foundation for where it's going to go. And it works very well, but perhaps, there's some limited capabilities there in stage one, and then stage 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 all build on that, right? But for us, it's important to have that good foundation and then kind of build on that and have those partners that are willing to get in there, roll up their sleeves, do things a little bit differently, not be happy with the status quo, right? But that roadmap piece comes into play too with folks, right? I think it's important to make sure that the partner you choose today on this area of your business is not going to all of a sudden compete with another partner on the other side of your business that's going to cause problems later. So not that we can control any of that, but it's good to have some of those conversations as well of where companies expect their roadmap to go, where they'd like to see the company go, just so we know that we can have valuable partners that do different parts of our business without them interrupting each other or hurting each other in any way. We want everybody to play nicely.
Let's talk about what the difference between a vendor and a partner would be too.
It's transactional versus an actual partner, right? I mean, a vendor is just somebody we're renewing it. It's, we're going to buy it because it's a commodity and we need it and you have to have it and we're renewing it. And if the contract's increasing, it's because we're growing as a company. So the contract is just going to continue to grow. But a partner is somebody that truly gets in and understands our business, understands why we're choosing to do what we're doing. And it's generally not driven by ROI from the lead perspective, right? It is generally trying to make a much better process for our recruiters, for our clinicians, for our compliance team and payroll team and everybody involved. So those are the decisions that drive us, is trying to solve those problems. And I want a partner that's truly going to understand the problem at its core and help us find the solution, because technology always has limitations. You're always going to find some limitations within any technology or some hiccup or glitch. And I need to have that partner work with me so we can problem solve together and get to that end goal.
Yeah, I see the vendor is they sell something that's off the shelf. So this is the product. It is what it is, and inevitably, when it doesn't quite meet what the direction that you're going, the answer is no. I'm sorry, no, we don't do that. That's not our offering. And then there's a point where I understand the business case for an organization getting that big to where that makes sense. We've got to say no now. But I look at it as the value of the partnership is someone that's willing to say yes. Someone is willing to say, okay, well, let's talk about it. Like, what is it that you're trying to do here? And then if we can work through it together, we can both benefit. I can help partner understand how this new feature is going to enhance my business. And if my business is like any of the businesses that you have with your other partners, well, now you have an opportunity to take that idea and bring value to them. So I totally see that's the difference in my mind of the partnership versus the vendor. Is it off the shelf, or do we get to work together and continue to solve business problems?
Yeah, I think you guys said that so well. So we're coming up to a couple conferences. So I do have a question. So how do you guys, utilize, you guys are always there. I'm always seeing you guys at conferences. So like, how do you best use your time at conferences to evaluate partners? We all know that it can be like an information overload all at once. So how do you avoid that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I like to do my research before I get there, so I have a good idea of the organizations that I at least want to talk to, and that I have a baseline understanding of the value proposition. So I'm not going in completely cold, because that can be a little overwhelming. But for me personally, I do business with people. So I'm really, I want to get there and I want to meet the people that are behind the product, and I want to learn about them and their motivations and see if their purpose and their passion and then their why aligns with mine and with lead.
Completely agree. I think that gets back to our partner versus and people, right? Is why we're choosing these partners. Because like I said before, it's inevitably going to have problems and glitches and issues, but is that partner willing to fix it? Do they want to work to fix it? Do they want to work to make a better product, right? That's what it all comes down to. So to Kyle's point, it's the people, it's not really the product. And some of those products that maybe weren't the best then are building to be the best now because we were able to help each other.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I guess, and to take that, to answer your question a step further, I would say
Please do.
give everybody the time that it takes, right? So I feel like if I'm going to go all the way to a conference, that's a long distance, that's a great amount of effort. I'm going to stand there and I'm going to talk to the people, and I'm going to, do the whole thing. Show me the demo, tell me everything you can. I'm going to ask questions. Then when I talk to one vendor, and I'll get basically inspired from some questions based on that conversation, and I'll go back and I'll talk to the other vendor. And I feel like that's really the best way to get as much out of the experience of doing it. And not everybody likes to do that, but I'm a people person. So for me, it's like, oh, this is a treat. I get to talk to all these people, to kind of push them a little bit, maybe to, kind of answer my questions that might be hard. I'd like to think I try and stump them, but at the same time, I'm trying to determine what kind of value the product can provide for lead. That's my job. So I enjoy it.
That's fair.
There's also the other element of that socialization piece coming from the vendor side. I spent so much time at conferences on that side of the booth, conducting the demos, right, and being a salesperson, that it's fun to be on this side, but at the same time, I'm now trying to build very different relationships from this side, right? I want to find out, oh, it happens that this company has their head engineer in town for this conference because they had some meetings. I really want to get some FaceTime with them and rack their brains. So what interesting people can I interact with that I normally wouldn't have any exposure to, that the conferences allow me to now have exposure to, and just pick their brains and ask questions and really get to know their process and get to know them as well, right? So it usually affords those opportunities to find those people that I wouldn't necessarily get to interact with.
Yeah, you said, what? It's funny that you said that. Our head of engineer came to our last conference with us, and he had so much fun. Like he said,
I'm sure
they kind of
they don't get out much.
We joke about you being put in a vase and not getting to talk to people, but like they especially do not. So like when they get the opportunity to, like, it's not just like the people getting the opportunity to talk to them that benefit. They also talk to people and benefit from that as well. So
they're passionate about what they do, right? And so if they can find somebody that is willing to talk to them about what they're working on and what project they're working on, they really are passionate about it and will go on and on at great length about it. And it's inspiring and it's fun, and usually, it kind of pushes my thinking to a point of, oh, I didn't even realize that was a possibility, or I had never thought about it that way, because you're getting a much deeper understanding of their logic, right?
yeah, exactly. Conferences are so much fun. I'm looking forward to Austin.
Gonna be a blast.
Yes, going into 2022. Can't believe it's already 2022. What do you see being the most important technology trends to stay on top of?
This is a good question.
I like to stump you, Kyle.
Yeah, see if you can. Yeah, I think for lead personally, I mean, there's just going to be a huge focus on, I guess, rolling out TimeSave for us this year, the app. And in my mind, that's a platform. So getting our own platform dialed in, there's going to be a lot of challenges with that, but I'm very excited about it. But I would also say, as far as technologies to pay attention to, are the various marketplaces that are out there, right? So not just creating your own platform with your own app and your own experience where you can generate your own ecosystem, but also what other marketplaces are out there, and how can we become a more integral part of them as they continue to grow. I don't want to put all my eggs in the lead app basket, although that would be great. I know that there will be lots of offerings in the marketplace as this transparency sort of wave continues into the new year. That would be a big one for me.
I would agree with that. I also think there's an element of connectivity there too that this exposes us to that we haven't previously had. So we can start to tap into more of that 360 degree view of a person and what makes them tick, not just the job that they want or the resume, right? So we can really get a better understanding of people and what they want to do with their lives and their personal time and those sorts of things, and kind of mesh those together. But back to Kyle's point too about marketplace, I think our industry is getting a bit more open, which it's always been closed off and secretive about their secret sauce of how you're finding people and whatnot. And I feel like more and more companies are starting to adopt a more open policy, at least. And I know we are always willing to talk to other partners, whether they're competitors or not. And I'm happy to tell anybody what technologies we use. I think that's just part of it. If you can go out and implement that in a better way or bring something better to market, then that just raises the bar for us and where we're trying to get to, because at the end of the day, this is about creating that better experience and that better industry. So clearly we can't do it by ourselves. So I'm a big fan of kind of working with other partners like ours, even competitors, and trying to figure out, to Kyle's point, back to the marketplace of having transparency and all of us kind of happily competing against each other. There's enough to go around. We don't need to, sort of do anything evil behind it, right? There's certainly enough out there that we can all help each other and help clinicians and patients and hospitals, and light industrial can do the same, right? So it can kind of go across industries as well in staffing. But I feel like that's an area that most companies have missed out over the years by not being more open and more willing to communicate with their competitors and their even clients.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why another reason the conferences are so fun, right? To
Yeah.
get to talk to our peers about what are they doing. The other thing I would add, because it's actually so ingrained in what we do every day that I don't think about it as new, but I think about it as we need to continue to build on top of it, and that's using automation to augment each and every process that we have. We use a great deal of it to augment the recruitment process, but there's a lot of improvements we can use with client services and business development. And I think about the quality of the data, which we've talked about a lot. The quality of your data directly relates to your ability to positively impact people using automation. So we are just tripling down on the amount of data that we're going to collect in a meaningful way, and that we're going to clean and to be able to use automation to do better job matching and marketing. So we can have all the indicators that a particular individual has said what's important to them about their job search and their needs, and then to be able to use automation to match and to help them choose their preferences, so that they can say, okay, I want this many notifications, or I only want this, or whatever. The technology exists. If you can get your data in a place where it's usable, and the robots can read it, then there's so much ground that we can make in this next coming year for automation. So I would say that
back to your eliminating administrative processes, right? I mean, that seems to be our primary focus at all times, is how much can we take off of your plate that doesn't need to be done by you, that a robot can do. And you start to peel out that onion, and it's layer after layer after layer, and most of the time you don't know what you don't know until you start to dig in and start to realize, well, that's actually a really easy thing to solve. We can fix that really simply, and we can do this, and then that frees up time for that person. And then there's new challenges to solve, right? But certainly a lot of fun. But but I would agree 100%, Kyle. Automation is a huge part of everything that we do, but it's that data. You got to be able to trust it. We opened up the conversation talking about this earlier. I think probably before the recording started, about some salespeople and how that works with outreach and things like that. And back to Kyle and clean data. I mean, these are things that can be done with automation. If the data is clean, then you could actually use automation incredibly effectively and not have it seem like a robot, and make it seem personalized for that person's personal hobbies and interests, or the recent vacation, all kinds of things that could tie that in to make it personalized if you have clean data.
Yeah, I don't think that people are going to be able to do much if you lose that complete personalized touch. I think that's super important. But
it is, but at the end of the day, right, it's to facilitate back to the relationships. So exactly. All of these things that we're doing it for are just to create either more time or more opportunity, or both, to build on those relationships.
Exactly. Any last pieces of advice or information you'd like to share before we wrap it up?
Just that I'm overwhelmed with gratitude that you would invite us to be part of this. I'm just your biggest fan, Brooke. You work just exceptionally hard. You're a wonderful human, and it's just an honor and a pleasure to get to sit here and chat with you and share ideas. And I hope that I'll have an opportunity to do it again sometime very soon.
Of course. Thank you so much, guys. Like, you guys have been so wonderful as usual. I always enjoy speaking with you guys. If anyone has not met these two, please, I encourage them to do so. It's never a dull conversation. It's really great.
Always a good time.
Always a good time. But yes, thank you so much, guys.